Welcome to the Art of Likeability, where you learn the secrets to becoming more likable in all areas of your life. Increasing your likability improves your relationships, and improved relationships increases your success in all areas of your life. Let's jump in with your host, Arel Moody.
What's going on, family? Arel Moody here, your host for the Art of Likeability. So excited to go into our third episode. We're going to be talking about ways for you to increase your likability in professional, personal, and all other relationships by some very specific strategies and principles to help you become more likable so that you can build better relationships. Better relationships lead to more success and better relationships lead to more happiness. So if you want happiness and success, you're at the right place, baby. So let's talk about one of the cool ways to actually build likability, and it's what I call, or what I'm sure a bunch of people call, active listening. Active listening is basically, if you remember from our second episode, if you haven't heard the second episode yet, please go ahead and download that, because we talk about how to interact with people when you first meet them to increase your likability fast. Now, one of the things that I alluded to is the idea of active listening. Now, what active listening basically means is that making the person feel like the spotlight is on them and you're 100% locked into what they are saying. There's specific ways that you can let the person know that you're locked in and paying attention. The first thing that you want to do is when they're talking, nod your head. Just as they're talking, not like, a bobblehead on a car dashboard, but, as they're talking, you're just nodding your head, you're agreeing with them. It helps them feel like they're saying something. If they say anything that makes sense to you, or if they say anything that stands out, feel free to go, or or gotcha. Some type of grunt, or I don't know what the exact word is for that, but it's just it's not cutting them off. What I found is that when you try to say things like, oh, that's so true, or something of that nature, you could talk over the person who's speaking. And if you talk over them, you're kind of like bumbling lines and stepping on each other's toes, proverbially, or whatnot. So when you do the so it might sound like this person's talking and you're like, yeah, totally. Wow. So it's like little statements that doesn't cut off the person. If they're talking, you don't have to worry about stumbling on their words. And that person can feel free to continue talking until they finish their point. A lot of people never actually finish their point because the person listening isn't really listening as much as they're waiting for their time to jump in, because typically it's like they thought of something and they can't wait to say it. I don't know if you ever remember being in like the classroom and the teacher is talking or someone else is talking and you jut your head into your hand into the air because you want to say something and you don't want to forget, and you feel like if they keep going, you're going to forget. So do your best to just go, and hold on to whatever it is that you want to say until the person is completely finished. It may feel like they're talking forever, and some people do talk forever, but they'll appreciate the fact that you take the time to listen. I think you'll be amazed by how many people will actually thank you for just letting them kind of unload, letting them just be themselves, letting them talk. And the great part about it is anyone can do this. You don't need to be very charismatic with your words. You don't need to be extremely funny or humorous to listen. You just need to pay attention and just give active nodding of the heads, verbal confirmation, things that will let them know that you're paying attention. Now, what's also cool about active listening is that you're in full control of it. It's not based on if you tell a joke, does the person laugh? Because if you say something that you think is funny and it doesn't work as well. But with active listening, you're 100% able to do it with no skill set because you're not saying anything. There's a great old saying that says you were given 2 ears and 1 mouth, and you should use them in that proportion. Other things you can do while you're actively listening is be amazed when that person says something. So I mentioned going, wow, or oh, or cool. If they say something that's mildly amazing or interesting, kind of be like, oh, snap. Be like, oh, man, that was real good. Now, hopefully you mean it, and hopefully you get to a point where you do mean it. But I think any type of wisdom, whether you've heard it already or if someone's done something that you've already done, it doesn't take away from the fact that it's cool. It doesn't take away from the fact that it's wise. So feel free to be amazed by that person. And the more we're actually amazed by people, the more they want to do and say more amazing things. Now, you've done nothing, you've said nothing, but that person will like you more. Now, what you're also doing when you're active listening is not just saying, that's part of it. But in addition to that, you want to do two very important things. The first thing is that you want to ask follow-up questions. Like we said in our episode 2, you do softening statements, and then you ask your follow-up question. Without the softening statement, follow-up questions seem too much like a barrage, like an interview or an interrogation. So you're listening to what they're saying to ask these next ongoing questions. You premise it with the softening statement, and then you move on to the next part of the conversation, which is a question based off of what they might have just said. So that's the second part. What's a good third part? Now, there's multiple things, but here are the 3 core things. You actively listening by saying ha, or some type of verbal acknowledgement, nodding your head. The second thing is that you're looking for ways to ask them more questions about what they talk about. But the third thing, I think, is the most important thing. The third thing is seeing how you can help this person. There is no better feeling and no better way to become more likable than to go out of your way to help someone. So if someone's working on a book project and you know a book agent, connect them with that person. If someone's trying to lose weight and you've got this really great recipe for, sugar-free brownies or whatever, share that with them. Or if you know a great book on a subject that could answer a question they have. Knowing how to connect a resource, an idea, a website, a tool, a person, a philosophy, or a quote that can help that person is a very, very, very important way to build really good relationships and strategies with people. There's someone named Gary Vaynerchuk who is very popular and really smart, and he's got this game that he plays, and you should play the game. I think it's a fantastic idea. Basically, no one knows that they're playing it with you, but everyone's playing it, and your goal is to basically say the person who asks for help first loses. So what that means is when you meet people, you want to go out of your way to see how you can help them. Don't ask them to help you. If you ask them, oh man, could you introduce me to this person? You lose the game. Your goal is to win this game as many times as you can. So when you meet people, you're constantly thinking of how you can help them, who you can introduce them to. That's on the forefront of your mind. And as soon as you have to ask that person for help first, you'll lose. Now, obviously, in a perfect world, people will help you and want to help you. And sometimes you need to ask for help. It's not a bad thing to ask for help, but you want your goal. I mean, even the, Chicago Bulls, when they won 72 games in a season, they still lost 10. So you're going to lose sometimes, but your goal is to ask more questions and help more, then that goes to you. And if you do that, you'll actually be a lot more likable to people. So again, what are we going to learn today? We're going to learn what we learned today, is about the idea of active listening, nodding your head, saying, interesting, totally. Being amazed, wow, oh, that's so cool, tell me more. Doing things like that to keep the conversation going. Looking for ways that you can ask more questions based on what they said by using softening statements, and then following up with more questions. And then the third thing is consistently looking for ways you can help them. Ways that based on what they're talking about and the questions you're asking, how you can help further this person in a really awesome way. So the next time you meet someone or the next conversation you have, I want you to apply active listening. Let me know what you think. Connect with me on Facebook, connect with me on Twitter. My name is Arel Moody. I have a really funky name. It's really easy to find me. AREL MOODIE. Again, that's AREL, M as in Mary, OOD as in David, IE. I'm the only Arel Moody on Twitter, the only Arel Moody on Facebook, the only Arel Moody on Instagram. Go on about the list. I'm the only one on it that I know of, so I haven't found anyone else. So connect with me, build your likability, because remember, likability is the precursor to all relationships. Relationships are the key to success and happiness. And if you don't want success and happiness, you are listening to the wrong podcast. So awesome connecting with you, giving you a high five because you are awesome.
Thanks for listening to The Art of Likeability. Please remember to subscribe to the podcast for more awesome info on how you can improve your likability and improve your life. Until next time, remember, you